Those of you who have been with us in the past and have supported us through the journey of the last 4 years, it's very interesting what's happening with the Bliss Catchers. For one, it's gaining generic currency. So I saw a post by someone who comes to our events regularly, and she put a post on Instagram saying, "It's my bliss catching moment." It was something about her life, and she used the word, "It's my bliss catching moment," and she tagged me. So it is gaining generic currency, and recently, just earlier this week, the Times of India had in their online edition featured this edition of Bliss Catchers, and they had used the word Bliss Catchers in their headline. So that was something that, again demonstrates the fact that the entire idea of Bliss Catchers is gaining currency. So what is this idea of Bliss Catchers? What is it all about? What are we trying to do here? The entire program is focused on reminding people through the journey of our guests and through the conversation that we have with them. We're reminding people that it is one life and we must live that life doing what we love doing. That's really what this show is all about. It's inspired by the American mythologist and author Joseph Campbell's philosophy of Follow Your Bliss. Vani and I are true believers in that philosophy. It's helped us last a very, very tumultuous phase in our life. For a decade now, we've been dealing with a bankruptcy which is not showing any signs of letting go, and we have been able to survive only because we've stayed rooted to our own happiness. And in the darkest of our times, we decided to come out and start a series of programs, the first among them being Bliss Catchers in January 2015, where we said, let's talk about what we have learned from this dark phase of our life. And what we have learned is that happiness is a personal choice. It is entirely up to us to be happy despite our circumstances. And Vani and I learned to be non-worrying, non-frustrated and non-suffering. And through a series of events that we curate, which are non-commercial, free public events, through my book, through my blog posts and all the public talks that I address, we communicate this message that life is a limited period offer, live it well. The Bliss Catchers is the first event in that series that we started in January 2015. It's our 4th season. This is the 39th edition, and I have 2 wonderful guests this evening, the young and happening, as I would say, Jayant, and the equally young and equally happening Krishna. So I'm going to introduce them both to you, but before I do that, I want to share a little bit about our hosts, which is Odyssey. I want to thank them. They continue to put this show together. All the marketing that you see, all the branding that you see is courtesy the efforts of a wonderful, compassionate, generous supporter called T.S. Ashwin. He owns the store, and he's always believed, he's a Bliss Catcher himself, but for some reason he will not sit on the hot seat with me. And one of my stated goals in life is, at least in the 2019 edition, we should get him here and talk to him. Even so, what if he's the sponsor? So without Odyssey's support, without Ashwin, without people like Parandaman, people like Vinod, people who put together this event for us every month, we wouldn't be able to do this so efficiently, so meaningfully. So thank you, Odyssey, for that. And of course, without some of our regulars in the audience, Geeta, Ramesh, our Asthana Bliss Catcher, Kavita Leah Krishnan sir, without all of you people, SR Madhu, Raj, I can go on, Puchi Venkat, many of them keep coming back again and again to this show. So thank you so much for all of that. Now let me introduce these 2 wonderful gentlemen the way I know them. So sometime during this dark phase in life, when there were recommendations to do something to earn a living so that we can fix the material side of our life, there were recommendations: do AVIS Business, do placement consultancy, do what was the other advice that we kept getting? A host of other advice which we were not very keen to follow, Vani and I. In that time, I had this very, very, what shall I say, very, very deep desire in me, which was to fulfill a bucket list item, which is acting. And I wanted to be an actor. And somewhere that idea was there within me. I was letting it simmer, and during this dark phase of the bankruptcy, it kind of gained currency within me, and I said to myself, why not try that instead of trying to do real estate business? The other one was real estate. Do real estate, do a placement consultancy, do an AVIS business, or instead of doing all that, why not try your hand at acting? And I kind of let that idea float in my head. I talked about it to a few people, and a good friend who was a bliss catcher herself, Sujata Narayanan, connected me to Krishna. And in a way, Krishna therefore is my debut director. He directed me in my debut act. Okay, as an actor, I acted in an ad film for him, where I play a grumpy dad who is, and the ad was for promoting a smartphone, like Pure Ally is the brand. It was a fantastic production by Krishna and his wonderful wife Amita, and the ad itself went viral, but it taught me a very important lesson, which is deep within me. I felt that I don't belong to that medium, so I withdrew. But thank you, Krishna, for that opportunity, so I can tell my grandchildren whenever they arrive, and probably on my deathbed, that I've done one ad in my life. I've done my bucket list item. So that happened for me in my life, thanks to Krishna. But I did not know anything about Krishna at the time. All I saw when I was being directed by him was an extremely passionate, driven, immersive filmmaker. Every moment that he was on the set, and it was my first experience working with that side of the of my life. You know, you're normally at a consumer side. You watch movies, you watch ads, but you don't know what goes into making of one. And so I went there with I heard horror stories about how ad films are made, and I normally have associated words like they're always late, they don't follow a sense of work ethic or discipline, and they don't kind of treat people as professionals, and all of those things is what I've heard. And so I went with very low expectations. But here was a team led by Krishna, which was bang on with everything that they planned. It was as if I was on a corporate mission. And so I didn't know the Bliss Catcher side to his story until, of course, I happened to meet Amita at an exhibition somewhere in Egmore, and we got talking, and somewhere, he was, thank your wife, she talks a lot about you, okay, and a lot of nice things. So she said, we somehow started talking about Bliss Catchers, and she talked to me, and she said that he's an engineer turned filmmaker. And that's where my dimag ki ghanti went bing. That's a Bliss Catcher. And so we sat down with Krishna, discovered that he did engineering just for the sake of doing something, but it's filmmaking that wakes him up every morning and gets him to do all the stuff that he does. And that's how Krishna happens to be on the show. So in a way, he's my first director, and at this moment, my only director. Okay, but in a way, I'm extremely happy we connected with Krishna, because I found a Bliss Catcher, and we have him on our show. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please join me in giving him a big hand. And I know young Giant because of a very close friend who's sitting right here, Vishnu and Sauparnika, friends I would say, who are instrumental in Vani and me meeting Jayant. We met him at a social do at Vishnu's place, and something about Jayant struck me immediately. See, see, I must confess I'm not a Carnatic music buff, so I don't know music the way a Jayant would know, a Vani would know as a Rasika, or as many of you would know as people who live in the city and are soaked in Carnatic music. So when I was introduced to Jayant, saying he is a very, very promising flautist who has been coached by his own grandfather and who has the kind of impact, he leaves the kind of impact that a flute mali would leave on people. I understood it, but sorry I didn't understand it very deeply. But what struck me about Jayant was the glint in his eyes. There is that very sharp sense of accomplishment coming from deep passion in his eyes. He knows he's going a long way in life. He knows it's a long journey, and he knows he has to be on that journey. I don't know if I'm making sense, but that's what I felt about you, Jayant. I felt conviction, I felt courage, and I felt a sense of joy in doing what you're doing. An extremely well-groomed person. We met for coffee, and that's when I discovered something else about him. That he had the courage to say no to a typical corporate job, which would have probably kind of deprived the entire world of the joy of listening to a fantastic world-class musician. So his courage to say no to that and pursue his bliss and follow it to bringing him to where he is today in life. So that's what drew us to Jayant. He's got a fascinating story. I know only parts of it, and today I'm hoping to explore all that I don't know, Jayant. And of course with you. So ladies and gentlemen, on that note, let me invite my two guests, Jayant and Krishna. Please join me here. So a couple of unique things about today's Bliss Catcher edition. One is that all the men seated on the bar stools are wearing Chinese collar shirts with no specific planet. We just happen to be wearing them. And the other thing is that both of them are creative people in their own spaces. Both of them are interestingly known to one member in the audience, which is Vishnu and his wife Saparika. They know both of them. So that's another unique thing about today's edition. Okay, gentlemen, are you ready? So you can pick up your mics and turn them on. So the way we will go with this conversation is, I'm timing it here. We have started on time and we will finish on time at 8:29. I request you to stay all the way till the end, because we've got something very interesting happening in our Bliss Catcher editions. Apart from the conversation, we have quiz segments. I can see Viva over there beaming, because she's normally the person who takes away all the mugs. Okay, so we have these beautiful mugs being given away today. These mugs are trophies that you will win if you answer our quiz questions. So for the next 20 odd minutes, I'll be in conversation in the first segment with Krishna and Jayant, and then I will ask you questions about them. If you answer the questions right, you get this beautiful mug, and I've been told by many people that their coffee in the morning tastes very different. It's laced with bliss when you drink it from this particular mug. So you get to win these mugs with the right answer. And then we go on with the conversation. We wind up the conversation around 8:05 between us, and then we open up the floor for questions with all of you. When we finish the questions with you, when you can ask questions to our guests, the guests ask you quiz questions about fields of their choice. You get 2 questions and 2 mugs. So totally 4 mugs waiting to be won today. Okay, so that should give you enough incentive for sitting on and listening to this wonderful conversation that we're going to have. Okay, so we're all set. Let me get started with my First question, let me ask, start from that side, let me ask Krishna. So Krishna, here is my question for you. When I look back at that time when we did that ad together, when you were generous enough to call me and give an old man like me my first break. Okay? So I can say that whenever I become that big star, okay, I can say that my first break came close to my age of 50. Okay? And that was because of a young man called Krishna. But that experience of working with you, Krishna, gave me the sense that you are a born filmmaker. You're extremely, purpose-driven, and you have a sense of work ethic which is unparalleled. Given that background, I have a very simple question for you. Edukku sir appo engineering pannreenga? Why? What led you to engineering school?
Thanks, James, for all the lovely words. So kind. To answer your question, I just give you a little bit about what kind of family, what kind of background I come from. I come from a very conventional middle class background, which means I either have to be a doctor or engineer or something like that. That's what it means. So somewhere I found it. Maybe I can say it was. I wasn't courageous enough to put it across in a way that my parents will get it that I want to do filmmaking. So I thought, okay, let me give in to what they say. Let me. That was somewhere a compromise, I would say, but not that I lost much. I think engineering taught me a lot about life and a lot of other stuff. If not anything to do with filmmaking, it kind of gave me a kind of confidence to handle a lot of other issues in life. So it's not a complete waste of my 4 years. Certainly I learned a lot, but it was mainly due to keep my parents happy, because I know somewhere I am going to get into filmmaking. I don't know how they're going to react. I don't know what's going to happen when I really do that. Okay, let me give this to them, probably. Maybe, what if I was great, what if I got great marks in engineering, maybe I wouldn't have done this. So that's another thing. Yeah.
Thank God you did.
Yeah, that's why I think so. Maybe that kind of confirmed confirmed to me that I didn't belong there and I actually belonged in the filmmaking thing. So that kind of
how did the idea of being in films come to you? See, I think my idea, sorry for taking the story away from Krishna for just a brief moment, but it's part of framing the question. When I saw Amitabh Bachchan in Zanjeer, I thought I got to be there. Okay? That's no comparison at all. But is that how you connected with films? That's my question. Is it by watching films that you felt you could make films?
Me and my family have always been film buffs, is what I say. My dad, we've always seen films, all kinds of films. I don't even remember, I didn't even know the names of films that I've seen when I was a kid. So the film watching thing was always there with me. But I would say that was the reason why I really wanted to be in films. I think it's to do with my school. I am sure Vishnu will attest to that. We used to do a lot of cultural activities and stuff like that, where in my gang, I had to take the center part, and I was interested in doing the staging and the direction of the plays and dialogues and stuff like that. And kind of, I think people liked what they saw. We were all kids. I'm talking about schools, kids and all, which is still, at that age, I thought it was people somewhere that gave me an encouraging response to that. So I thought, why not? So there's a storyteller I thought I had in me. So I thought, maybe I wanted to be a writer. I don't think I had such a good command over my language. So I thought, this is a language that I can learn and communicate my stories through.
So how early on was this clarity and conviction in you? In what grade were you?
I think, if I remember right, I think I was in the 5th grade or something.
Wow! That early?
Yeah. I even remember once my mom asking me when I was in the 5th grade, what do you want to be? I said film director. I still remember that. I don't know why I said that then. I really don't know why I said that. Because I didn't know what it takes to be a film director. I didn't even know what a film director does at that point. I just know there's someone called a director whose name comes in the last and who's very important. That's all I know. I thought, okay, fine, let's be that man. So I really didn't know why I said that. I keep still thinking nowadays, 5th standard, in an auto rickshaw when we were going somewhere, my mom asked me what I wanted to be. I said film director. She laughed it off. My sister laughed it off. But I wish I can ask them now if they still remember that. I don't know if they do, but I do. I remember that. So I think that's the moment that really, put me up.
That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that memory. That's a fantastic piece of trivia, and I'm sure you will go a long way in this line, and we will recall whenever we'll hold a toast to you whenever you you go up there to receive your Oscar or something, and you say, the first time he talked about it was on the Bliss Catchers, you know, bragging rights. But let me ask you one more question before I move to Jayant for his, to get his story started. So, fifth standard, asking, mom asking you and you in reply is one thing, but I think we kind of, our worldview changes with age. And many of us in our teens and late teens often tend to leave behind what once was our focus and embrace a new focus. How did filmmaking stay with you right up to your late teens, so that even in engineering school, you had that clarity that you still wanted to enter the film life?
To be honest, actually I don't have an answer for that. It just didn't. I mean, there were various points when I was probably in the 10th grade or 11th or 12th, and maybe I wasn't taking it too seriously. Not like I was thinking like, okay, I have to be a filmmaker. Because I didn't know about filmmaking, right? I mean, I just had an idea that I wanted to be there. I really didn't know. So once I started learning about what it takes to be a director, what really a director does, and what exactly is filmmaking, I thought it was pretty exciting to be a part of it. I really don't know what made it stick to me. Maybe it's just my love for films. Because I've always been watching films, always been like, that's something that always excites me. Going to the theater, you know, watching the lights dim and, you know, seeing a nice story being told, always has given me an extra, you know, heart rate goes up a little bit. So I know that there is something there that I need to explore. Maybe that's why it's stuck. Otherwise, I don't know what else could have been.
That's amazing. Look at his answer. I don't have an answer for your question. That's the big answer here. Yes. And many times, we don't know why we like doing something. But the important thing is that we like or we love doing that something. And in his case, there are two big words he uses. I mean, the public word is film direction. I want to be a film director. But he used the words, I am a storyteller. And I think that's where the drive comes from. That's where the fountain is kind of has been flowing from your fifth grade or even before. And so I think subconsciously we are drawn towards things that we love doing. And we can't put our finger and say it happened at this time, this moment, or for this reason. But we are continuously drawn in a direction. And for you, that happens to be filmmaking. That's what I'm thinking. That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. Let's move on and go to Jayant and get his story started. So Jayant, I want to ask you here, I just met your mom, Jayshree, right? Yeah, and we discussed about your dad who works with the Ministry of Defense and he's posted in Mumbai. So both mom and dad don't come from a musical space. I mean, they may be music buffs, they may come from a musical family, but they're not creating music. They're not creating music. And yet, you have been drawn so much into music because your tata, your grandfather, is such an accomplished Vidwan himself. He is Shankaran, and he was a disciple of Rukmani. So I want to ask you, growing up at home with parents who don't have a musical creation space, okay, and a tata who's an accomplished Vidwan, how did you get drawn more to what your tata had to offer than to a career that your parents were following?
Yeah, I think so. There are two ways to look at it. One, you choose something. And the other thing is, it chooses you. Maybe music chose me. But then, as a kid, I was always exposed to a lot of music. Be it Carnatic music, be it instrumental music, or Hindi film songs. My dad is a big fan of Kishore, Mohammed Rafi, and Amitabh. So that's a very lethal combination. It's very addictive. So I was always exposed to music, and then my earliest obsession, when I look back, is just my earliest memories of life is, maybe playing with the flutes. As a kid, I could recognize, you gave me 6-7 flutes, I could easily pick which one is a good one. Yeah, and also maybe the love that I had for my grandfather, I think it just happened so. So I kind of got involved with what he was doing, which is, he was a flautist himself. So maybe those were the reasons why I took to flute at an age where you are not sure of what you want to do. But yeah, flute and my tata were the earliest obsessions I had. Continue.
Continue to be. Amazing. Amazing. I love your opening remark. That's almost like Virender Sehwag sixer in the first ball, which is either you choose something or something chooses you. And I think the big answer is that it's always something that chooses you. It's our sense of logic, our education, academic education, I believe, that makes us think that we choose something. It's always something that chooses you. And in your case, it was music, it was flute. So let me expand that phase of your life a little more. And you start learning from your grandfather at the age of 4.
Yeah,
you had your first concert at the age of 7.
Yeah.
These are early stages in anybody's life to be doing stuff. My parents tell me I at the age of 2 gave my first speech. I don't believe that. Okay? But do you believe that there was a reason why you stayed on with music all these years through school and into graduation? You stayed with your flute. What about it that made you stay there? What was it doing to you at your young age?
So basically, I probably understood what my calling is. It gave me a lot of happiness, it gave me a lot of bliss. So even when my friends used to go to play and all that, so my dad is the difference. So we used to play and then we used to have swimming classes. So our friends used to split. So after playing cricket or something, we used to go to swimming classes. But then I used to come back home and play the flute because I like doing that more than, of course I like to play cricket and all that, but I used to come back. It probably gave me a lot of happiness, kind of satisfaction. And also there's this very beautiful quote in this book, The Alchemist by Paul Campbell. So when you love something, you want to be better. You want to be doing better day after day. So you want to, kind of nurture it so well that you get better in it. And there needs to be a progress because you love it so much that you want to get better in what you do. So maybe I always had that drive to be better in it, and I'm very critical of myself whenever I play. It's always been, even when I was an 8-year-old, 9-year-old, my tata, just for the sake of it, he'll be like, oh, no, I should have. But I used to be like, something's not right. It doesn't sound like how you play, so teach me properly.
Seriously, you used to have those conversations?
Yeah. My tata was very reluctant in letting me get into music and all that. So he just used to do it. He used to be like, okay, his son is asking me to teach him. So Suma Sole Kuttula, but I used to ensure that I got the best of whatever he played.
So there was this subconscious, latent desire to be better and better at this art.
Absolutely.
But it was subconscious because at age 8 or 10 or 12, you can't define it as a very conscious effort at perfection.
Absolutely. Right? So those days, the benchmark used to be, how does it sound? So my tata used to play something, I used to reproduce it. So how good I'm playing it, reproducing it or not depends on how good he sounded. So I wanted to sound more like him. The closer I sounded like him, the more I was satisfied that I'm doing a good job. But later on the benchmark kept changing. So today it's like, I need to sound better than what I sounded yesterday. So I think it has to do with the kind of benchmark that you set, and it is these benchmarks that change at different stages of your life. So yeah.
That's how it worked.
That's how it continues to work.
Let me ask you 2 questions here. You can choose to answer them in any order because they're coming to me together. One is, in anybody's adolescence, you tend to get distracted with the ways of the world, right? When you may believe in something, you may love something, but the distractions are in multiple directions. So what drew you back to this? I mean, obviously, your friends, your other attractions outside, whether it is academic pressure or another career option, all these things are distractions, and of course, people develop relationships at that age, and they get distracted because of relationships. How did you stay the course, one? And why did you use the term that your grandfather was reluctant to let, or was a reluctant teacher, reluctant to let you be the musician that you are today? What was his concern?
First question. I had my own share of distractions.
You did? Okay.
So, but I think it's about, so my tata always used to say, by the time I was 15, 16, and I used to come back late, I probably didn't practice 1 or 2 days. My tata would say, so that kept me going. So even if I went out, I got back late. I used to practice until like 12, 12:30, 1 a.m. in the morning. But she was not happy about it because I wouldn't get up for school the next day. So he used to tell me, so I had my own share of distractions, but coming back to it, so this gave me more happiness than what anything else did. I used to go hang around with my friends after my tuition classes, and after I got back from the school, we used to play, we used to hang out, we used to go to tuition and all that. But I ensured that I don't skip my routine of practice, learning, but just playing the flute. Regardless of whether I learn a new composition, or regardless of whether I plan meticulously for an upcoming concert, all that I wanted to do was just play the flute because I just like playing it. The second question. So my grandfather never really wanted me to get into music full time. Maybe because the generation that he lived in is different and things have changed now. But when there's a lot of water that flows by, say, in a span of 3 to 4 decades, it gets very difficult for you to make an elderly person understand how things are going to be. Because their experience is so vast that you cannot really convince them, and there's always this attitude of you want to get it there, you know, so he never wanted me to, basically because you do not have a financial security, you don't have pension scheme, you're not sure if you're going to get as many concerts as you're supposed to perform to make a decent living. And also you're standing as a musician. You might be a very good musician, but that doesn't really mean you get a lot of concerts coming your way. And also the sense of, when you know that you deserve to be much better for the kind of hard work or the knowledge, the talent you have, but it doesn't really assure that, you get all of this. So he wanted me to become a doctor first, to tell me, Chicago listening to so you need to
Dr. Jayan, MD.
MBBS, something like that. Oh God. So he wanted me to be a doctor, and I used to say, no way, it's not happening. I just want to be the flute. And then he wanted me to do engineering, so
that's how you got into engineering.
Yeah.
So I do understand the story behind your engineering now. That was my question, so I'm glad you shared how you got to engineering. But I want to take a learning from here and share it with the audience, which is that young Jayant has got a very mature view of life. He looks at life far more mature for your age. Anybody else would have probably said, my tata was an old man who thrust his ideas on me. But the way you presented it was a very mature way of looking at it, the way your tata was looking at it, which is amazing. The learning here is also that I had my fair share of distractions, but I kept coming back to what gave me more happiness. And this is the question that we need to ask ourselves. What are we doing with our life that makes it totally happy? And which part of our life makes it happy? If you ask yourself, then the distractions, the concerns, the confusions will fade away. And this is what I'm picking up. This whole definition of what makes you happy. And if you can answer that and keep coming back to it, there's a big way forward. Fantastic. Let me go to Krishna before I take a break. Krishna, I have a question for you before the break, which is about engineering school. You finally get into engineering school, and when we met at Starbucks, you said you kind of survived engineering school, not knowing what you were doing there, but you survived it. What helped you with surviving engineering school? Was it a vision that I'm going to be this amazing filmmaker someday, or was it that you have to get past this so that you can please your parents and somehow earn a living? So how did you manage to get past engineering?
Once I knew that I was doing engineering, or once I got a seat and I joined engineering, I knew the next 4 years was going to be that. I might be doing some short films here, there, and stuff like that, but engineering is my top priority at that for the next 4 years. So I just want to do it with my fullest of heart. I didn't want to do it halfway. Like, I did have a few ideas, obviously, but still, I made sure that I gave it my 100%. Because I know that's leaving engineering half-baked is not going to help me anyway. That 4 years I have to be there, finished in that college. So I thought, let me finish this, let me do what I came for wholeheartedly. Then maybe I'll look at doing what I really want to do in life. And luckily, when I was in engineering, I had a contact in theatre, and I got into that while I was finishing engineering itself. So kind of kept my creativity going there too. It wasn't like I was deprived of not being able to do anything creative or anything. So that kind of helped me towards the later part of my engineering, third year, fourth year. I was doing part-time theatre and stuff like that. So that helped me keep my creative passion alive, and as well focus a little bit on engineering too.
So there was theatre, but I also heard you talk about short films. So did you make short films while in college?
Oops, I wasn't supposed to commit to that, but yeah, I did. I'm not going to tell anyone this. It's not available anywhere. No one's going to see it. But I did, yeah. I did.
You made short films?
Yeah, a couple of them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did something like that happen? You didn't have any background in filmmaking, right?
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
the mobile cameras had not yet arrived, if I'm
absolutely
right.
Yes.
So how did you dive into the world of filmmaking through short films?
It came by through one competition actually. I don't really remember which one right now. They said there was a competition for submitting a 1-minute short film. So my friends at that point urged me to, you saying filmmaking, want to be filmmaker, so why don't you give it a shot at that? So I just thought, why not? So I just put in what I learned from watching films into that. Really. So I had to get my equipment, I had to talk to people around, I need to know. I didn't have any idea of where to source even a camera at that point. So I like to talk to a lot of people, source my camera. I didn't know which studio to go to edit it. So I used to go to like 2-3 studios asking, do you do like film editing here and stuff like that. That was the first time because I had really no guidance at that point. So I really learned step by step as to how it should be done and how it should not be done actually. Because it's a really bad film that I made finally. So but that kind of was a stepping stone for what I could do later. Yeah.
That's an interesting answer, because I think if we all go back to our first efforts, we would hate them, right? But I think those first efforts are epochal moments in our life. And Krishna, therefore, for the person that you are now with more than a decade, 12 years, 13 years experience in that space, to make a short film, even if it's for 1 minute and you hate it, okay, now, but to make that was a phenomenal act of enterprise, was a phenomenal act of passion, phenomenal act of belief, because you had no training. You didn't go to a film school. You were in engineering school and you were just doing it for a competition. So I think that's a very important moment in your life, and I'm glad you shared it with us. Because let me add here that it marries into what Jayant had to say. Something that you want to do, it chooses you, it finds you, and that thing in your case happened to be that contest at that opening. It found you, right? Yes. So if you at all credit a big moment in your life, it has to be that as well.
Certainly, that will be one of them.
Although you hate the film you created. But we'll watch it someday together.
You won't.
You must be having it on some hard drive somewhere.
The hard drive is burnt.
Okay, let's go on. It's 7:40 now, and it's time for our first break. before I continue my conversation with Krishna. The first break is about the questions for the audience on my two guests. Okay? So both are pretty simple questions. You should be able to get these. If you don't, then I have you answer the next question. Okay, my first question is on Jayant. Okay, please connect. And so therefore, whoever answers this first, and my decision shall be final, will get that beautiful mug, which will make your coffee taste better tomorrow morning. Okay, so are you all set, everybody? So the first question is on Jayant. Connect Jayant to champagne. Yes, 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 sir.
Champagne flute.
Absolutely, it is the champagne flute glass. Yes. Krishnan, you're first. Kavitale Krishnan sir himself a Bliss Catcher in our opening season. His first Bliss Catcher. Thank you, thank you. He's been a Bliss Catcher himself in the 2015 edition and has been coming ever since to whenever he's not shooting, he comes. So it's a joy to see him receive a mug this evening from Jayant. So it is the champagne is normally consumed in two glasses, two types of glasses. One is called a flute glass, which is long and conical, and the other one is a coupe, which is a flat glass. And I don't know to drink from either of them. I drink from the bottle directly.
Neither do I.
Okay, let's go to Krishna. This one should be a sitter. You have to, if you have heard me very carefully, we haven't come to that segment of his life yet, but if you've heard me, if you've read the invitation, you should be able to answer it, except Amita. Anybody else can answer this question.
Okay, but you're not getting the mug. She was eyeing the mug.
Okay, and Kavitale Krishnan sir, you also can't answer this question. Okay, so not that I want to deny you a second mug, but this will be a sitter for you, so you should not answer this question. Okay, the question is connect Krishna to a gentleman by the name Parthasarathi Srinivasan.
His father.
No.
Krishna and Partha, the name of what?
No. Ramesh? Geeta?
I'm guessing I'm also someone who can answer, right?
You're not supposed to answer. You can't give the mug to yourself. Krishnan sir, do you know the answer? Seriously, unless I have the wrong answer. My sir.
No, I think the question is fair. I think Amita might answer. No? You don't know?
No.
Okay.
Parthasarathi Srinivasan, and that's going to take me to the next segment with Krishna. The answer. So I have another question for you guys. No problem.
Was he an employee of Kavitaliya?
Who?
Parthasarathi?
No. Parthasarathi Srinivasan can employ many people and may well become your next chief minister if all goes well. Does that give you a clue? No? Not
He
yet?
was in Kamala Hassan.
Kamala Hassan, absolutely right. Please come forward, Sauparnika. You saved me a question. Thank you.
What is the name?
Original name Parthasarathi Srinivasan. That's what Wikipedia says.
No, Wikipedia now.
Okay. What is the original name then? Okay. Wikipedia says. Okay. Wikipedia says original name Parthasarathi Srinivasan, also known as Kamala Hassan Srinivasan and Kamala Hassan.
I think Parthasarathi is also his name. I think even I have heard of that.
Okay. So this is
I am from Sindhu High School and he has been, his name has been registered as Kamal Hassan. Only.
Could be a family name.
because he started acting very early, possibly because of that. Anyway, we'll go with my choice, Parthasarathi Srinivasan. I relied on Wikipedia. I know Wikipedia is not entirely reliable, so we may be wrong here, but nevertheless, Srinivasan, we'll go with that. Okay? Thank you. Thank you, Krishna. Thank you. Good question? Yeah. I was surprised with the question that I came up with because of the trivia that I found. Okay. I was surprised. Thank you, Sauparnika, for the answer. So the answer is Kamala Hassan, and we go into the next segment with Krishna. So you made a short film that you hate, You did theatre in college, you got past college. I want to ask you what happens after that in your life. Did you ever keep a job? Did you
After college, right?
after college, did you ever take up a job? And how did that serendipitous meeting with Kamal Haasan happen? How did you enter the world of films under the, let me say, the aura of the man?
I think you used the right word, serendipitous. I mean, that's exactly what I would call it too. I'm not someone who believes in destiny or anything, but I think I was quite lucky. That's what I would say. First step of joining theatre was itself was a very lucky moment I got. I was part of AVIS.
Okay.
You can see his name.
Right.
So he was my first boss actually. So luckily, immediately after I finished college, when I was doing college, couple of years of my college, I was doing part-time with AVIS. So once I finished college, I went full-time into AVIS. So there was not a single day where I worked for a corporate company or anything that they would expect me to do normally. So I was lucky that way. And it was through Karthik Kumar that I got to know that Kamal sir was looking for assistant directors to start his film Marma Yogi, which never happened. But I did work on it for like a good 1 year without going for a single day's shoot. So it was like in the movies actually. When I first met Kamal sir, it was in his office. It was the old Raj Kamal office. It's renovated now. It's right next to Samco Hotel. So when I go there, there is this black spiral staircase there where I was led up to. So I'm not a fan of spiral staircases. It gives me the kind of gives me the dizziness. So I was like going, I hate spiral staircases. Let me see. I have to go. And Kamal sir is waiting upstairs, so I have to go there. So as I'm going up the staircase, he's standing right at the top. So it's like the movies. I'm seeing him from feet first. I go up, and I see him standing like that. And I was like, a little shaken already because of the spiral staircase and also because he's standing there. And I had a kind of a couple of pages resume written about me. I had handed it over to him. He looked at it and he gave it back to me and he sent me off. He didn't speak a single word. So I didn't know whether he liked it, whether he likes me, whether he wants me, doesn't want me, nothing. After a couple of days, I get a call from his office saying that I'm hired to be a part of the Marma Yogi team. And I was incidentally the very first assistant director to be hired. But there was no one in that office for the first 3 months. It was just Kamal sir and me and other executive. So that was a great experience with him. So, yeah.
Look at the way how things happen. So after college joins AVIS, then AVIS connects him, Karthik connects him to Kamal Haasan's office, and then he gets to meet the man himself. This is what Joseph Campbell says, and he says, and I quote, "Follow your bliss. You have only one thing to do, which is go in the direction of what makes you happy, and doors will open. Follow your bliss and doors will open and connections will happen." Can you say that with conviction today that a lot of who you are today is because of what you learned from that interaction, that time with him, even though the film never made it?
Absolutely. Because everyone knows he's a genius. I mean, I got to see it firsthand there. I mean, the way he works, the meticulousness. I mean, he's a taskmaster. You have to perform at a certain level to be there for so long. Sometimes that kind of gave me a confidence that I can actually survive. Because that again was my very first foray into feature films, proper like mainstream Tamil cinema. I had no idea how Tamil cinema functioned even at that point till I got in. So it kind of gave me the confidence, kind of getting my feet wet there, and also giving me the confidence I can stay there for a longer duration and have a longer haul there. I mean, he gave me the confidence and somebody gave me the knowledge also to survive.
And so all of this without a film school background.
Absolutely. So
right?
he's my film school. He's the first school.
Look at that. He's your film school. Amazing, right? I think working with a man like him, just being in his space and breathing the same air is a different experience altogether. Right?
Totally. Yeah.
I'll come back to you and pick up your journey from where we are leaving it now, but I'll move to Jayant now. Jayant, I want to ask you, so you go and join engineering school because Tata wanted you to join engineering school, you get past engineering, you're doing concerts all the while. All that is happening. Why did you, or when did you, let me rephrase the question, when did you decide in the time of your engineering school getting over, was it in the last semester, was it during campus placements, that, hey, listen, I've done engineering school, but that's not my scene. I don't want to be an engineer, working on a 9 to 5 or a 9 to 9, thankless kind of routine. I want to do music, and I want to play the flute. Was it a decision that was taken like that, or was it a decision that you already had taken, but you kind of finalized it? That's part A. And part B is this legendary story of you refusing your first and the only job offer you had. Okay? So talk to us about both A and B.
Firstly, I got into my 11th standard and I had to choose my department. And so one used to be MPC, which is Mathematics, Physics, Chemistry, which is Computer Science department. The other one is Biology department. I chose Computer Science because most of my friends chose Computer Science. I got into MPC. I did 11th. And as this was happening, so many of my friends used to go for this IIT coaching and NIT coaching. Trust me, I had no idea what IITs were, NITs were. I had no idea. Such was the level of ignorance, which I'm not proud of, but I must admit. So it was around 12 that my grandfather and father, they said, you need to get into engineering. You need to be an engineer. You need to study engineering. I said, what? Why? What for? Then my grandfather said, you need to have a professional degree. And rightly so, maybe, he thought I should. That's how I got into engineering. And there's also a very interesting story. So I studied in Sri Sai Ram Engineering College. I never knew anything about the college. I never knew anything about the colleges that are affiliated to Anna University, how strict they are. And they're all taskmasters, so they ensure that you study and pass. The very first day I go and then I get a shock of my life. I'm not supposed to have long hair. I'm not supposed to have beard. And it was a strict college. But as he said, it taught me a lot about discipline and how to behave. And it gives you a picture of how life is going to be. How tough it is, how it's a challenge on a daily basis. So this happened, 3 years. I never had a backlog. So I used to study the night before. It needs a lot coming in. So I used to study hard just the night before the exam. And I used to keep awake. I used to have a shower, come back, sleep, and then start preparing for the exam next day. That's how I studied. Not a big deal, but yeah. So I did 3 years, and people in my college used to be like, college. My professor used to ask me, why do you have to come? You're troubling yourself, you're also troubling us. Why do you have to do this? And I told her, it's for my grandfather's sake. In the middle of the class. I said, okay, fine. And then I used to bunk a lot because it so happened that you get a concert 4 months ahead. You don't want to let go of it. I mean, why would you want to let go of it? So you accept. Adukku adutha naal na semester oda first exam. And that will be a concert in Bangalore. So it used to be tough. So, but I ensured I give my best, in the concerts. And one day, if the concert goes well, then you are on a high, so you're driven to do well in your exams also. Not very well, but you just want to pass. So all this happened, and in the 6th semester we had this campus interviews and companies coming to your college to recruit. And I think the only soul in the entire college, among the student fraternity that was absolutely chill about it was me. Everyone else used to prepare in the class. Everyone else but for me. I used to just sleep. I used to think about something in the Saveria, Bulgaria. In the money I used to think, and people used to, my classmates, so my benchmates, Girish and Yashwant, so they used to ask me, what are you doing in life? Don't you want to get PS? I said, no. So the decision intrinsically was never to get into engineering or go for a job. Maybe because I'm a rebel. So my mom used to ask me, so most of the botheration that I felt came from her. She used to be like, what are you going to do? they're all preparing for campus placements, they're applying here and there, they're going for some crash courses and mastering some program, C++, Java, what are you doing? So she used to ask me, and I used to pitch, and I used to say, I'm just going to play the flute, and things will happen. So a couple of my friends got placed, and most of them got placed. That is when I was like, what am I doing? When there's a tendency in our society, they discard anything that is different. But no, that shouldn't be the case. Difference should not be discarded. It is to be accepted. So one such day, so a couple of friends, they decided to go to one of the campuses for an off-campus interview. As a poor I accidentally got placed in a and I was the one who got placed, and the they didn't get placed. So they thought I prepared and all that. What happened, you always wanted to just pursue your music, but you came prepared. It's you who got placed, we haven't. So what do? I can only thank my stars. But that was around the same time. So my first tour to the US was in 2013, the year I passed out of engineering college. And the date of joining fell right in between the tour. I thought to myself, I was like, this is a kind of break that every musician aspires for. And it didn't come out of, my grandfather asking for an opportunity or something. It came by itself. So that is something that I believe in. You need not go after something like how Amir Khan says in 3 Idiots, excellence ke piche bhaag, things will fall in place for you. So it came, I didn't want to let go of it. I thought about it, and then I was like, only when you give choices, you're confused whether to pick this or that. So don't tell people at home that you've got placed, no. Just go. So Adhikapram, then they got to know through some of my friends, and then, I got to hear some Twitter and all that, but that's okay.
You managed it.
I managed it. I never cared about it.
You knew all along this is what you were going to do.
Yeah, this is what I want to do. So I never cared about it, and so that is when my parents were like, so what are you going to do for a living? Excuse me, this is going to be my living. She said, you need to earn a lot, and the job also paid, it was going to pay me well, so what about, did you even think about all that? I said, yeah, I did think about it, but let me give it some time, at least 2 to 3 years. You're not supposed to decide something in haste. Whatever you do, I think give it 2 to 3 years of time. Give it 3 years, according to me. The first year might not be good, second year might be really good. You're not supposed to, just give it 3 years. If it clicks, it clicks. If it doesn't click, then I can do anything. I can start a school, I can take recordings. I need not choose what are the concerts I have to accept. I can just accept whatever comes my way, and there's going to be something that's going to come your way.
And you never had to go back.
I never had to.
Fantastic. So here's what I'm taking away. I think there is a deep sense of conviction in the line that is drawing you towards it, and everything else is just happening around you. Right? That was the space that you were in during engineering, and around the time that you were going for those placement interviews.
Yeah, and also during my engineering, so I used to do about 5-6 concerts a month on an average. So that gave me a bit of confidence, and also I believe if you're very honest with your work, gives you a kind of satisfaction, and the nature will take care of giving you the best if you're honest with whatever you do. So I think it was that conviction. And also one more quote from The Alchemist. So it says something that you really want badly, the entire universe conspires.
That's why she gave it to you.
So these were certain quotes that did inspire me, and I probably followed them.
You follow them even now. So what I'm picking up is that his decision to choose between the US tour opportunity and the job which he had in hand was no decision at all. There was no confusion, because he was very clear about what he had to do. So all he had to do was to ensure that home did not know about the job offer until it was too late, right? Until you had already moved.
My mom doesn't seem to be very happy about it. But it's been 5 years.
But it's very, very important to understand the space space that a person has to be in when society wants you to be a certain way. And as Jayant said, society doesn't want to accept anyone or anything that is different. And you want to follow your own music. And the pun here is intended. You want to follow your own music. And you want to follow your own path, which is waiting for you, which is rolling out a red carpet for you. So deep within you, you feel that. And you have to move in that direction, but society wants you to move in a different way. What do? And that's where Campbell says, follow your bliss. And he is very clear, follow your bliss. It's not follow bliss. It's follow your bliss. So it's an extremely personal choice. And that choice is a no choice because you know this is what is going to make you happy. And that's what we see in Jayant's life and how he was able to look at it very, very, very mature, in a very mature fashion, in a very convincing fashion. I'm totally convinced that you could not have been a doctor or an engineer. I'm very, very sure.
Waking up at 7, going to work, coming back, oh God. But I must say, my college and my department was very supportive. Later on, the third and the final year, I think whatever I did, I never used to study for the unit tests. I used to flunk, I used to score 0, 1, 2. But they had the confidence that I'm not going to flunk in my semesters. So they really let me be like how I want.
And here's a person who's done 1,300 solo concerts in his life so far, and he's still starting off where people would normally be starting off a career. He's still at that age, so that's fantastic. So this is the value that following your bliss brings to the table. Thank you for sharing that. I'll come back to you. Let me go to Krishna. Krishna, question for you. So the school of Kamala Hassan takes you in its fold, but for whatever reason, you worked with him on Parma Yogi, and later you worked with him on Vishwarupam 1, and then most recently you've done work with the team on Vishwarupam 2. But for whatever reason, you have chosen to be also in the space of being an entrepreneur, running your own production company with your wife Amita. You run Red Canvas Productions, and you make ad films and corporate films. So does a person who believes he's born to make films and tell stories, is it possible or is it a compromise that you have to make sometimes, that the challenges of being in feature film making, commercial film making, have to be compensated by earning a living, so you go and make ad films and corporate films? Is that how you approached it? Or is it the same thing, whether you're telling a story to a mass audience, or whether you're telling a story to a niche audience, whether through ad and corporate films? Is it the same thing?
I don't think it is a compromise really, because I never set out to thinking that I'm going to be a feature filmmaker for the masses or anything like that. I enjoyed the process of filmmaking. The process was, I think, was very important to me. About narrating a story, I have an idea in mind how I convey it through the moving images is what excited me. So obviously, I have ideas of making my own feature film, but I don't see this as a compromise. This is a interesting alternative, is what I would call it. While I'm waiting for my feature film to get made, I have fun doing this too. There is no qualms in me accepting that I'm a corporate filmmaker and ad filmmaker, because I have fun. I have a great partner with me who I can take along with to work with every day. We work together, and it's fun. It's totally fun. So I don't see it as a compromise, and it kind of keeps the bills paid. So there is no complaints there.
Yeah. Very important point. Keep the bills paid. There is more predictability when you run a production company that also makes ad and corporate films. There's more predictability there. But I'm actually liking your other answer, which is that there isn't a choice, of only doing one line of work. You can do a couple of lines and still be happy doing what you're doing.
Correct. I just see it as what you want to be. I mean, do you want to be a feature film director alone? Then it makes your life more difficult. I think I am clear on what I want to do. I enjoy making films, whether, like you said, the scale really doesn't matter. So there are alternatives. You can do this. While doing ad films and corporate films, I'm at the same time pitching my own feature films as well. So one day I'm sure that will happen too. So you can do both. You can have the cake and eat it too. here. I get money on one side and enjoy doing it, and somewhere I get to make a feature film to something. So it's not like either or all. It's like an and here.
The answer he gave a little earlier, which is the process of filmmaking, is what gives you joy.
Yeah.
That's what you said. So it's the process, and many times we miss the fact that the journey is the reward. There is no destination. It's the process that you got to enjoy, and the process comes to us in different forms. You know, the outcome could be a commercial film, it could be an ad film, it could be a corporate film, but the entire joy of creating it is what is valuable, right? That's
I tell my friends, I tell Amit also, I don't think she accepts it though, that once when I make a feature film, I really somewhere I wouldn't mind if it doesn't run, if it flops also. Because that's never my point, to make a film that runs 100 days. My point is to make a film, and that ends when I make a film. That's my point. I mean, so the consequence really doesn't affect me. So that is why I say that the process, if I enjoy the process, any kind of filmmaking I'll enjoy. Any form of filmmaking, storytelling, I will enjoy. That's exactly what I'm doing.
Perhaps you said it very unwittingly, but you really talked about detachment just now. The outcome doesn't really bother me. And I think many people twice your age struggle with that idea of learning to be detached. And I think your whole approach to life, if it's based on that foundation, then many beautiful things are waiting for you, somebody like you. I think a quality that we all should learn to cultivate is that sense of detachment, and stay with the effort, stay with the process, stay with the intention, and let the outcome come out on its own. It does not tell on you. It's not a label on you that a film didn't work out, a book didn't work out, an event didn't work out. All these are labels that society pins on you. In Jayant's case, do you enjoy playing the flute? In your case, do you enjoy making a film? In my case, do you enjoy sharing people's stories and inspiring the world to think about happiness? That's all that matters. So it's a very important point. Thank you for sharing that. Let me ask you a couple of common questions before I open the floor to the audience. And I come from a very personal, experiential point of view here, so please bear with me if I were to ask this question. Vani and I have seen a drought of no income for the longest time in the past decade, when we have dealt with worklessness and pennilessness for long spells of time, sitting on top of a bankruptcy where we owe the whole world a lot of money. And through that process, we learned that it was completely useless and futile to worry about things which, worrying doesn't solve any problem. We learned that you have to only focus on the process and not on the outcomes. We learned to be non-suffering. So I'm asking this question to both of you from that point of view. Sometimes when life is slow, you don't get the projects that you're looking for, you need to get an income to run your family, to run in the business, or you don't get called for concerts, or you see a calendar which doesn't have too many bookings looking forward. You have some work now, the next 2-3 months are not really booked. How do you deal with a sense of worry, a little bit of stress that starts creeping inside you, and anxiety about the future? How do you deal with it? And the same question to you, how do you deal?
It was slightly easier before I got married, I'll be honest, because it was just me. I can probably go without food for a day, I don't mind it. But now we are both together. I think she's been such a great support. I mean, I have been a great support to her and she's been a great support to me. Because somewhere we both of us, I'm lucky that she's also in the same industry. She knows filmmaking, she understands how to deal with a dull period and everything. So it's kind of taught us to be patient. I mean, patience I think is extremely key here. We know we're doing good work, we know it will come through. Just that this is just dull period, that's okay. We have fun either ways. I mean, we go out for dinner every other day and we have fun. I mean, we know the kind of work we do, we will get work in. I'm really not worried about the money aspect here. If I know I'm doing good work, I'm sure the money will follow out. And Gandhi said a quote from previous. I think I truly believe in that. I do that and I know the money and the problems will be taken over. that should be a real problem. So I never really, I look at where my next film making project will come from. We keep our networking on, we keep talking to people, and we make sure the project will be just around the corner. We never are really worried about what we'll do for the next meal. I mean, thankfully, I'm thank her too for being so supportive, and both of us are being together like that, and I kind of understand that. So just the two of us, so I think we understand that pretty well. So
that's a beautiful answer. Patience and the support of a great companion. That's a blessing, by the way. Let me tell you, it doesn't happen everywhere to everyone. You can go and get yourself champagne in flute classes. Yes, Jed, you're on.
So, I have not had 2 stages in life yet. I don't know, like he said, I think patience is the key. And how I look at it, maybe because I'm still single, is I have more time to practice than to learn something new. So I better do that. Then worry about not having a concert say in the next 15 days. And maybe make some innovations, a new technique in your flute playing, or a new composition, or a new raga that you haven't played. Try playing that the next time you get a concert. That's going to give you a hype. That okay, I worked towards this and I worked for it and I'm presenting it. That's how I look at it. Maybe it's going to be different once I get married and then I have responsibilities.
I ideally believe having I mean not just having been, but being ahead of both of you by 30 years in this whole journey of life. I'm totally convinced that it is not the act of marriage or companionship that will increase your responsibility or your burdens. It's not that at all. It doesn't affect you at all. I think you have to learn to look at it from this point of view, that are you having conversations between you and your companion? How much are you talking about life? And how much are you feeding off each other's energies? It's very, very important. And if one is being insecure or worrying about the future, it's the role of the other one to support. And it's not necessary, and it's not gender dependent at all. There have been many times when I've been completely low and Vani has hoisted me, and there have been many times when she has been down and I have hoisted her. Although in our case, it's often been me that's been down and not her. But she's blessed that way. And I'm blessed that I have her with me. But the key word for me from both your answers is patience. You know, J. Krishnamurti says this very beautifully. He says, the problem with all of us, humanity, is that we lack patience. We want everything to be instantly gratified. And more so in a highly technology-driven era that we live in. Just because you send somebody a WhatsApp message, you get and because you get a reply instantaneously, or at least you see the 2 blue ticks. Okay, if someone's got that feature activated on their phone, then you expect everything to happen in a nanosecond. वो பேசிட்டோம் இப்போ முடிச்சிட்டோம் இப்போ நாளைக்கு வந்துடணும் இந்த எஃபர்ட் எடுத்துட்டா நாளைக்கு சக்சஸ்ஃபுல் ஆயிடணும் ஃபேஸ்புக்ல 1000 லைக் வந்துடணும் 10000 பேர் ஃபாலோவர் வந்துடணும் we are in that very, and Krishnamurti says, hold the problem, look at it from all dimensions, understand it, and when you begin to understand it, the problem begins to demonstrate its extraordinary quality to you. And if there are therefore dull periods, and that's a problem. If there are no bookings, then that's a problem. If there's no income, then that's a problem. If there's an enduring bankruptcy, and that's a problem. If there's an enduring health challenge or a relationship challenge, and that's a problem. Then if you look at it very closely, if you learn to be patient with it, you realize that it has come into your life to teach you how to be stronger, how to be wiser, and how to be happier. That's what I've learned. So patience is a very, very important quality. Thank you, both of you. Very, very mature perspectives on life. I have just one more question, quick question to the 2 of you, and then we'll open up for audience interaction. Having seen the life that you have seen, which for the last 12, 13 years, and you for almost ever since you've been in public eye playing concerts and all of that. What gives you complete happiness? What's your idea of complete happiness? What would you like to be doing all your life?
So there's a sense of gratitude with people liking what you give them, in terms of your passion and profession. So that also comes with a package which is responsibility, and you need to be more responsible and honest. So it's just drives you to do better in what you're already doing, and not take it for granted, and then work harder.
Maybe. I like it. And I'm glad it's coming at the very end. I think the bigger answer is that for you the complete happiness is the idea of giving it your best shot every time.
All the time.
And being extremely grateful for what you have.
Yeah, and
that's
what
it
people
means.
give you back.
Yes.
Because giving, so you doing your best is something, but when they kind of come back, in the sense, so I perform concerts, so when I see people coming back to my concerts, I have a sense of responsibility and also gratitude towards them, because I'm nothing without them. So, जैसे हिंदी में बोलते हैं जनता जनार्दन होती है. So it's a sense of gratitude, and then it just makes you more responsible also, that you're not supposed to take it for granted. You're supposed to keep giving your best.
Yes, your answer.
I took some extra time to breathe. It's difficult to answer this again because I think I'm in a very happy space right now. Doing what I'm doing, doing what I love doing. Somewhere, I'll be really grateful if I can be a filmmaker when I pass away. When I die when making films. That's the ideal way I see it. I want to be someone who's constantly telling stories that excite me. Again, to reiterate what I said before, I really do not care about what the result of that story is. Somewhere, I want to be in a space where I can tell the kind of stories that the way I want to say. In the sense, somewhere talking really about economics and all, that I don't want someone who's giving me the money, instructing me how to make a film or how what kind of film I need to make. I think I feel the utmost happiness comes to me when I have the freedom to tell a story the way I want it to be told, and keep doing it as long as I can, probably.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. Fantastic. So we have time for to start with 2 questions. We'll see how we go, and then we'll decide at the end. Yes, Madhu, your question.
Jane, has your knowledge of engineering helped you in any way as a flutist?
Not really, sir.
Candid answer, quick answer. Yeah, honest answer. That's like a 6er, right?
Not really.
Okay. Next question, please. Next question. Yes, Geeta?
Obviously, you're not somebody who likes your creativity to be stifled or suppressed. So what are the sources of your creativity? Like, for instance, I've read that Kamal Hassan is a person who looks around very intently and finds inspiration from each and every person whom he comes across. So what are the sources of your creativity?
I look at life as an inspiration for me. Like something very similar to what you were talking about, Mr. Kumar. So it's like I try to recreate what I see in real life. And another source I find myself getting very inspired by is to read books. I read a lot of books. I read a lot of non-fiction, and try to find stories that other people don't see there. Try to look at a regular story in a slightly different perspective. There'll be a general view of a certain story. Well, I try to slightly alter the perspective and see what story lies there. So it is basically life around me that kind of I get inspired by, and that's what drives my creativity, I think. So I wouldn't really call it creativity because I'm just seeing one life and replicating it. So, but at somewhere that is creativity too, I think, because not everything.
Life is the greatest creative source, and I think learning from life is very important. So I'm glad you gave that answer. We have time for one more question. I can allow one more question. Yeah.
I'm Sridivya. I have a question for Jayant Anna. Mostly human nature is like we don't actually like what we're doing at times. Like, for example, I don't like that much to listen to my voice or a recording or something. But from when you started loving, see, only if you love what you're doing, you can do it well. If you love hearing you play the flute, you can do it well the next time. Also, you need to criticize yourself to get better. How do you make the balance?
So I have very good question. So I have always had this habit of recording my practice sessions, and also concerts for that matter. So I listen to it very critically. So when I play with a lot of involvement and fun. But when I listen to what I have played, I listen to it very critically, and then I correct them when I play it next. That is how I like a balance. And also, so when I practice like I know nothing. When I perform on the stage, I perform like I'm the master.
Beautiful. That would have been, I was about to answer it in my own way also. I think when we perform, and as Osho says, when you are in the process of giving yourself to the universe, then it's not you. Creation is happening through you. And this sense of mastery is not you. The sense of mastery is happening through you. The masterfulness, the delivery is happening through you. You are only the instrument. So when Jayant plays the flute, it's not Jayant playing the flute. He himself is the instrument. And something bigger is happening. When he tells a story through the medium of cinema, it's something that's happening through him. When I'm telling you a story, when I'm sharing a learning, it's happening through me. So you distance yourself from what is happening. Okay? And yet you look at how you can improve, how you can raise the bar, how you can be more intuitive in that process, and not try to kill yourself and whip yourself saying, I got to do better, I got to. It's a constant battle. I mean, Vani will attest to many conversations I have with her after every Bliss Catcher edition, and I will have one with her tonight as well. So this happens with all of us, right? Okay, Vardarajan, last question.
Thank you, AVIS. This question is a question which relates to me and relates to many parents like me, and also relates to many youngsters who have parents like me. The question is this, that nowadays people say that doing engineering is a waste because you don't get a job. Now I feel that from the stories that you have, both are engineers, successful engineers, good engineers, in that sense. So, but you had the audacity to choose your career. So my question is, does really, it's a very poignant question. Engineering does really help to change, to have your career the way you want it. Compared to any other stream, an engineer can take that step boldly.
That's a very interesting question.
Got your question?
Yeah.
So this will inspire a lot of engineers.
I want to answer that.
No, I can't allow too much of conversation here. Quickly answer that question.
Actually, it's a very interesting question because a lot of filmmakers, a lot of other creative field people, you see, they have a background of engineering. I think that kind of is a testament to itself. That engineering kind of gives you the analytical thinking, the logical thinking, the way to solve problems generally in life. That I think it gives you a confidence and kind of a good understanding of how it gives a good perspective, I feel, on life and how to handle the problems.
People say engineers cannot be creative, but it's proven wrong.
Yeah, it's just the way you handle your problems. I mean, I think engineering really helps in that somewhere.
I think it's the most affordable professional degree that you can quit and get to something.
Fantastic. Okay. I will answer that question in my own way if I get the time, but right now let's move on. Thank you for that question, Vardarajan. And let's now go to the quiz segment which you all been waiting for. 2 quick quiz questions, 2 quick answers. Jayant, you go first. Yes, your question.
Which Carnatic musician was the first recipient of highest civilian award, Bharat Ratna?
MS.
Yes? Absolutely. That's your second month for the day. Viva Matra had to make way for Kavitalaya.
We need 2 months to switch here.
Yes. Okay, Krishna, your question.
Okay. This is a question from cinema, Tamil cinema. What is the first adult certified Tamil film? There's a clue that I've mentioned the film's name in this conversation. That's a clue. What's the first Tamil adult certified film?
Yeah, adults only. Adults only.
There's a clue in the conversation I had with AVIS. So to make it a little easier to get the mark.
Anybody with the answer?
Sorry?
No. Okay, you want to give away the answer and go to your next question?
Okay, it's Marma Yogi. MGR Marma Yogi. So there was a ghost in the film, so we gave it an AVIS certificate. I don't know why.
That was the original Marma Yogi.
The MGR version,
Okay.
1951 or something.
Ah, thanks for the trivia. Okay, interesting. I had Marma Yogi, but I thought it was like shell production, but it cannot be the first. So okay, next question, please.
Okay, hope it's easier. This is a question I took courtesy to my wife. She said ask something about women in the film industry. So thanks to her. So who's the first Indian to win an Oscar? Just a clue again.
Rohini Hattangadi.
Costume designer for the
Rohini Hattangadi.
He's right, yeah. Mr. Krishnan is right, but he's not giving the name.
I forget the name, but I think
Can maybe lenient and give him the third markup.
Bhanuataya.
Yeah.
Bhanuataya. Okay, we'll give it to him. We'll give it to him. Thank you. Bhanuataya or Gandhi, right?
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, so that brings us to the end. Please stay on for a couple of more minutes while I do a quick wrap. But before that, let me invite Vani to help me give away the coveted Bliss Catcher trophies to Krishna and Jen. So Krishna, here's your trophy. Here's your mug. So your coffee will taste different tomorrow. You get a mug too, yes. For all the hard work today. Yes? Jen, your trophy. And your mug. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Please be seated while I do a quick wrap. It's going to take just about a minute. So, I think one of the big takeaways for me personally from both the conversations I had with Jen and Krishna, with both the threads of the conversation meet at a certain point. And that point is about knowing very clearly what you don't want to do in life. As much as it is important to know what you want to do in life, you must also be extremely clear in terms of knowing what you don't want to do. Both of them were very clear that they didn't want to be engineers. And yet they went through it to go through the process of it, right? Nothing is a waste, no education is a waste. So obviously there is an impact that they will realize at different times in their life of whatever they went through in college. But they both were very clear that they didn't want to be in that space. And this is something that we can all learn from. Even if you don't know what you want to do, if you are clear what doesn't make you happy, you have covered a big part of the journey. You've gone ahead on the journey of following your bliss. And here I want to quote Campbell, who says, Joseph Campbell, who says that do what makes you happy. Do only what makes you happy, deeply happy, calmly happy. Stay with doing it, and you will live an extremely meaningful life. And that's what both of them are doing. I wish I had that kind of clarity, Jen, at your age. I had no such clarity at that age, and it hadn't even arrived at your age, Krishna. You know, so I'm so inspired that I had this conversation with the two of you, and I'm sure whoever will watch this video will pick up exactly that. that key takeaway that I'm taking away from your journals. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please join us next month on the 28th of July.